Sublime magnificence. Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis, Feo Grande on YouTube, back with another episode of This Guy Hasn't Seen, and as usual, I am joined by my co-host and runner mate, one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Chill Bill Smith.
Hey Omari, thank you for having me as always. It's so lovely to be here. Doing this little movie club thing that we do, trading stuff back and forth. It's not always movies, sometimes it's shows, sometimes it's wrestling, sometimes it's who knows. We've heard the talks of concert films, all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
Who knows what can happen in the future. But today I brought a big one.
Ooh, yes.
I brought a colossal monument in American film. If it's not clear by my frame in video, I brought a Star Wars movie. It is Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. It's directed by J.J. Abrams, written by Chris Terrio, J.J. Abrams, and Derek Connolly, and it stars Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac. Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker from 2019. Director J.J. Abrams. I just heard you singing Episode 9. Director J.J. Abrams, written by Chris Terrio, J.J. Abrams, Derek Connolly, and stars Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac. The dead speak! The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast, a threat of revenge in the sinister voice of the late Emperor Palpatine. General Leia Organa dispatches secret agents to gather intelligence while Rey, the last hope of the Jedi, trains for battle against the diabolical First Order. Meanwhile, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren rages in search of the Phantom Emperor, determined to destroy any threat to his power. That is the opening crawl to Star Wars Episode 9. Emperor Palpatine has a podcast.
That's right. Yep. So,
Omari.
Yes.
You have not seen this movie.
Why?
You find
how?
Yeah,
it's a cultural phenomenon, right?
Right.
How do I not see it?
You read an entire book and you skip the last chapter.
Well, that is true, but I figured by skipping the last chapter, if I don't watch the very last part of this series I have invested a lot of time into, I can just live in a world where the last part was both good and bad. And, and I can be fine with that. I can live with that for the rest of my life. Oh, wait, that's not me. That's Super Jazz with Breaking Bad. No.
The Super Jazz.
There we go, as nature's intentions and all of that. But yes, in all honesty, with this movie, I like Star Wars, clearly. I'm a Star Wars guy, especially more than Star Trek. Nothing against Star Trek, but if you're going to ask me one or the other, I'm picking Wars, easy.
Clearly, only one of us likes Star Wars. Clearly, Omari. What's your Star Wars? How can I see that you like Star Wars?
You can come to my job and see the R2D2 thing in my office with my name on it.
Okay.
And the Han and Chewie paper like things on my computer. That's how.
Fair,
you can see it in my place of work.
Sorry for interrupting.
No problem. You bring up a good point. I was like, damn it, I should have brought the thing home, put it in the background. Anyway, but to your point, I'm not enough of a Star Wars. I'm not enough of a Star Wars fan, or not the same level as your typical Star Wars fan. I got into Star Wars later in life than most people do that are my age. Most people got into it real young. They saw the first movie, fucking loved it, hooked for life. Let's go. Me, I saw the first movie, A New Hope. I fell asleep. It was right around the time. Of course, I know Obi-Wan. He's me. And that was the last line I had remembered until I was in high school when I saw the movie a second time. Made it up a good chunk through the movie, about 2/3 through the movie the second time. And then I fell asleep. And then I watched it as an adult, made it a good 95, I'd say, percent, practically the whole movie, but not really, because I still fell asleep near the end. I've gone back since and seen the last scenes and stuff. Now, I just talked about 3 different times A New Hope put me to sleep, but please believe me when I say I do respect A New Hope for the classic that it is and understand why it's revolutionary and still rank it above the prequels, which I eventually saw and stuff. Like, they had the good visuals and everything. And one thing I like about Star Wars in general is the visuals. A friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, I referred to him as Larry on the other channel. I'm not sure if we called him by his real name on this one. But you know, the who's a lizard and all that shit. You know, he's a tree. Blah blah blah. You don't do that to people. That guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, he is responsible for getting me into Star Wars as a franchise. He let me and that was that high school falling asleep 2/3 through. That happened because he's like, we're gonna start with the original trilogy, then we're going to the prequels, and then, you know, we didn't know about any sequels, but the prequels weren't the best stories, let's be honest. Cool visual. There's a couple of episodes out of that nobody really likes for obvious reasons, you know. And then we get to the sequels, the Disney movies, which even better visuals, but of course that just comes with time. You know, beautiful shots, cool as shit. Fucking Last Jedi had one of the coolest shots I've seen in cinema with the light speed feet. Fantastic. And
I think The Last Jedi is the most beautifully shot Star Wars film.
Yeah.
It's shot extremely artfully minded. And it's a very pretty film.
Yeah, so all of that, but there were still some plot points that, while not as bad as the prequels, I was kind of iffy on, including the main character. I was always wishy-washy on Rey. Rey, question mark? Who is she? Well, she's clearly not related to the main family that all the movies are related to. She's some nobody. Like, the hell she is. She's clearly a Skywalker. That's how these long series work. Look at it with JoJo's. Look at it with Tekken, with the Mishima family. Look at it with these Star Wars movies. It's pretty much, hey, here's this family getting wrapped up in their little epic adventures, and the rest of the universe having to suffer the consequences of the bullshit around this one family. It's just what it is. It's the Skywalkers in Star Wars, because especially when they made the prequels about Anakin who became Vader. Like, that was your chance to be like, here's a side story that eventually leads to this. Nah. This is Anakin Skywalker's story, which, because you said it's the prequels, makes, even though it's Luke Skywalker's story, Anakin's still heavily present and gets to kill the villain. So it's still Anakin Skywalker's story. And then now we have the sequels, where you're going to tell me it's somehow suddenly not about the Skywalkers? The hell you say. But I had it spoiled for me before the movie came, before I got around to watching it. The main plot point, well, one of the plot points in this movie, which I'll go ahead and say now, the Rey being a Palpatine thing. That was spoiled for me, and I'm like, oh, that's stupid. Why ain't she a Skywalker? She's a Palpatine of all things? And someone might have also said that Palpatine's alive, and I'm like, that's some bullshit. This movie sounds stupid, and I didn't want to watch it. And then I heard a lot of negative reviews early on about the movie that further lessened my interest in watching it. And then by the time I got around to it, time had passed, and I'm watch it eventually. I had a coworker that wanted me to watch the movie. I read some cliff notes so I could have a conversation with him before he quit the job, and I forgot all of those cliff notes except for the things that I just mentioned a second ago that were spoiled the whole time. So it was still a fresh viewing for me, despite having read cliff notes at one point. We'll get into it. But yeah, that's why I hadn't really watched it. Too much negative press and not being the I don't give a shit, it's Star Wars enough to watch it anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I brought it to the table because you hadn't seen it, and it's Star Wars, and you gotta bring Star Wars to the table, if you have the opportunity. So I wanted to bring this up, but it's also a very complicated film for me because of my relationship with Star Wars. I grew up absolutely loving Star Wars. I had the VHSs were always at my mom's house. I can't remember a time where I first watched Star Wars. It was just something. It was in one of the 12 VHSs that I put in constantly. So I would watch it. Then we got the gold remastered, and I would watch that constantly. And then obviously the prequels came out, and I went to the theater for every single one of them, and loved every single one of them. Then I'm at home, and they start releasing the Clone Wars animated TV series, and I love every little bit of that. And then they release these sequels, and I'm really enjoying The Force Awakens when it comes out. My friends and I come to that as a big group, and the high that we walk out of that theater on, and just like the amount of just like, oh man, and then this, oh my, and it was so, oh my god, and then they did, oh my god, they did that, and it was, oh my god, oh, and because we had new Star Wars to talk about and we were leaving a movie theater and talking about new Star Wars, and it was so awesome. And then I watched it almost in real time as half of my friend group kind of split off and like went home and started pulling up some very specific avenues of YouTube somehow. Like you go like, and I might be sweeping generalizations and stuff. I don't know. This is just how it felt like me as a passive observer on the sidelines of the game, that it felt like was happening in front of me. But because I could see it in my own YouTube algorithm, it felt like if you went down the Star Wars review rabbit hole of YouTube, you would start to skew into this very like pro masculine, pro the way things used to be, just skew of YouTube. And it like these folks that would have 6 videos posted a week, and 3 of them would be about bashing entertainment content, and the other 3 would be about loose political agenda kind of stuff. And you'd start to fall down this rabbit. I don't know. And like I said, that might be me very big sweeping generalizations. But I watched kind of my friend group split on the topic of Star Wars, and just all of a sudden, like almost overnight, it was just like a tainted word to say. And I kept riding it through because I enjoy Star Wars. And then The Last Jedi came out, and I went to it with a smaller group of people, and we walked out of there enjoying it. And I was probably on the biggest high of my Star Wars fandom in that moment. I, in fact, have ranked my Star Wars films, and I'm going to go ahead and put The Last Jedi as my favorite Star Wars film. I love all the choices that Rian Johnson made that some people hate, Like, I fucking love the fact that Rey is nobody in this. When I'm walking out of The Last Jedi, I love the idea that because and I very quickly saw an interview with him not too long after where he was like, I thought that would be the most interesting thing to do, is like, yeah, she could be a Skywalker, she could be a Kenobi, she could be a Palpatine, she could be, insert random Easter egg name here, but the most interesting thing to do would be to say that no, you're just some nobody, that got deserted on a planet, and so what, you got a little bit of power, whatever. Like, that, I feel like that's the most interesting, most powerful choice. I'm someone who went the other way and was very interested. Like, I know a lot of people were like, you destroyed my hero, you destroyed my childhood hero. Luke Skywalker is a deadbeat on a island somewhere, and it's like, well, no, I loved it. I loved making like a full-fledged round character. So anyway, go too deep into
I'm fine with deadbeat Luke. I was just mad he died as easily as he did.
Yeah,
but I was fine with the personality shift.
Yeah, I mean, it's also I also recognize at the same time that Disney has their hands tied a little bit in having to include these three people that aren't up for the job in some ways. Like, I love Mark Hamill, I love him, but he got lucky with Luke Skywalker. Everything else he's ever done, he's a very, very specific actor. And especially as he's aged into a very, very specific actor. And I love him for it, and I love the things that he's done in his older age. But they are not your archetype hero. They're a grizzled old man who hates the world. Like, that is what his face is now.
Yeah, and that works
really
for
that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I love the personality shit.
Yeah. So they have they're kind of their hands are tied in some ways. I mean, like in this movie, they're the person who is supposed to be their lead actress is not.
Yeah, the one character, that was the other thing that made me less interested, because I didn't know what the hell they were going to do, because I felt they roped themselves into a corner, because the one character they decided to keep alive was the one person who, unfortunately, in real life, had their actress pass away. And I'm like, well, what do you do now? And then I hear this other stuff, and I'm like, okay, they clearly didn't recover from that either.
Yeah, so I was absolutely loving The Last Jedi. And then in between the time of walking out of The Last Jedi and this film being promoted, I went from probably my highest of highs as a Star Wars fan to possibly my lowest of lows, because I just could not see the toxicity that the fandom had become, and how negative everything was on the internet, and I myself also not understanding it. Like, I'm sitting at home rewatching The Last Jedi as it gets released on home video, and I'm like, yeah, opinion confirmed. I don't I don't get this. Like, and like, I can get not liking it, but like the level at which people were not liking it, and like, you betrayed my childhood, and like,
yeah,
divorcing themselves forever from anything Star Wars because of this movie. And it just got to another level where I had to end up like kind of just like shutting Star Wars out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see this movie for quite a long time. I did not see it in theaters.
Oh, I did not know that.
It was not until the Disney Plus series came out and were able to re-engage my fandom again.
Okay.
This little guy came out on the scene.
The Mandalorian.
They also released the final season of the Clone Wars that had never been dropped, and that season is incredible, starring my girl Ahsoka Tano. I've pretty much loved everything. Like, a lot of people give Boba Fett hate, but I enjoyed it for what it was. Andor was incredible. Like, they're all different genres, and it's a very interesting ride to be on. So that re-engaged my fandom, and at some point I was like, okay, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready to take in this movie, as well as all of the toxic things bringing my fandom down. I as well saw all of the negative press that was coming out beyond the negative fandom, like just like the professional reviewers being like, "Ugh, I don't know, guys. Like, temper your expectations here." Um, and then all of the big initial hate from the fans that were going in the opening weekends and stuff. Seeing that kind of come out, I didn't encourage me to jump into it. And I was also aware of all of the problems that they had, like, Carrie Fisher passed away before principal photography had wrapped on The Last Jedi. So she was in no way, shape, or form physically involved in this film. Everything used is like CGI, face morphing kind of deals, or footage from the other two films that weren't used and kind of reinserted into these scenes, and dialogue scenes being written around what we're able to make Princess, like, we're grabbing this deleted scene, here are her 3 lines that she has in this scene, let's write a scene around these 3
Jesus.
lines. So that's the kind of limitations that they are set to. So I was aware of all of that, and then I wasn't thrilled. Like, there was also there's also a big rumbling of, like, J.J. Abrams not being thrilled about what Ryan Johnson did. And like, word on the street was that he was going to kind of undo a lot of the stuff that Ryan Johnson had decided.
Like the nobody thing, clearly.
Yeah, because the original mapping out of the plan was that they were going to give it to 3 different directors and give them no roadmap, and then and tell them that they're just like, you have to obviously you have to follow what's been set before, but you have no guardrails. Like,
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want. So J.J. Abrams did what he did. Ryan Johnson took the stuff that JJ gave him, did what he did, and then it was supposed to go to, I believe, Colin Trevorrow, who maybe is best known for the modern Jurassic trilogy.
Okay.
But things happen there to where he gets removed from the project pretty late in initial development, and so JJ is brought back on pretty late, because he knows the players, he knows the world, he built the world, he rebuilt the world, so he's like the easiest man to jump into the job.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, he is operating under a predisposed, like, well, I already did the first film, and then that guy did a bunch of stuff, as opposed to a third new guy just coming in and just doing his own thing again. He's got to come in and
try to tie in his first things and
reset, try and delete canon and reset things that he was trying to establish. So that there was all of that complication I knew of going in, so I just never saw it. Then I eventually saw it, and it's not great. We don't have to. I'm not gonna. There are moments here that are very fun and very interesting, but like the plot and film as a whole, it just feels like a rushed together, cobbled mess a little bit. So it's not like the greatest film in the world that I'm bringing to you. I'm bringing it to you because it's Star Wars, and
I needed to see it.
If I can force somebody to finish their Star Wars journey after watching episodes 1 through 8 and stopping at 9, I'm gonna fucking force you to finish your Star Wars journey, because I did it. We all need to do it. Take your medicine.
That's entirely fair.
Did we kind of cover what you were expecting?
Yeah.
All right, so movie kicks off. We did the opening crawl.
The classic opening. Palpatine's back, apparently. And that's just silly. Though I think they later described it as like, well, I mean, he was into cloning, so.
Well, of course, Omari, you have the polarizing event that is The Last Jedi. And so what you got to do, obviously, is you got to make all of the people who liked Last Jedi unhappy, and simultaneously bring back the favorite character of everyone who absolutely hated The Last Jedi, and then really piss them off by misusing him and completely killing him by the character that they hate the most in this world.
I'm assuming that's Hux.
So you did the brilliant job of making no one happy.
Yeah. Also, is it just me, or is Kylo?
But that's why you brought back Palpatine.
Yeah.
Is for that fandom. That fandom is obsessed with Emperor Palpatine.
Gotcha.
And you're trying to pull them back. I would be willing to put my life savings on it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Is it just me, or is Kylo not as intimidating as he should be? Like, at least early on. I think it's because without the helmet, he looks doofy. Like, I don't know. He just looks.
Yeah.
He does not look like he should be the scary. Like, he does some badass shit, which is the most weird, polarizing thing. I'm like, this should be cooler.
Yeah, there's just. I mean, Adam Driver is just he's a weird built dude. He's just a weird built dude, and it's. I don't know. There's always been something about Kylo. Like, he always feels a little too young.
Yeah, put the helmet on.
He's the hair length is sometimes
and I think they later make the distinction in the movie. We usually jump around the shit anyway, but between Kylo Ren and Ben Kenobi, or whatever his name is, or Ben Skywalker. Yeah, I think Kylo Ren with the helmet on can be intimidating because he's got his little wannabe Darth Vader going on. But Ben Skywalker looks doofy. He's not intimidating. Ben Skywalker is not intimidating. Kylo Ren, sure. Yeah. When Ben's trying to be like Grandpa, he's intimidating.
Yeah. And they're like, it's always like Kylo Ren and Ben. Like Ben, it's tucked behind the ears, and then down in the eyes, it's Kylo.
And we do see Palpatine early on, so it's not even like it's a rumor. He's just straight up, yes, Palpatine.
Straight up, and you straight up see Snoke. You see two Snokes in a tank. The villain of the first and second in the first and second series. You see in a tank. He makes them clones.
Yeah, he's like, because he's like, you didn't do this. I beat Snoke. I created Snoke. And you see two Snokes in a fucking tank. And I'm like, okay. And eventually, we cut to our main party for the first time, and they're playing the chess game that's been around for fucking ever. Even in their universe, this same fucking holographic chess game. Like, I'm like, damn, I'm pretty sure that was in New Hope even. Jay were just like playing that shit. So it's classic.
The same ship.
But it's classic. Oh, true. It could be built into part of it.
No, that's the table. The table is
the game.
Chessboard, yeah.
Fair. I was just like, man, they just keep playing the same chess game forever. But no, it is that chessboard. But it was cool seeing him. It was weird though having Chewie left as the only OG of the original Millennium Falcon crew. Like, and it's like, oh wait, Leia's over here training Rey. Cool. That I love Leia's a great character, obviously, and I love the fact that she ended up being a Jedi because they said she would be. You know, no, there's another type shit. So that's fine. Could she have done? I wish she would have done more, like, because they didn't really start showing Leia doing Jedi shit till she just randomly was like, I'm using Force Space Resurrection to get back onto this ship. And it's like, that's cool that you had, but where was any other, you know what I mean? I wish we got to see more action scenes of Leia kicking ass as a Jedi than we do, but now she's training Rey, and it's like, I believe that she's wise enough to do this, but I also haven't seen her be like the person that's like, oh, this is a cool sensei. She seemed more like she's teaching the wisdom side of the force because we hadn't seen her fighting enough. That's all I'm saying.
And again, it's you know, there's been lots of rumors of the original version of the film, but one that I've put stock in is would have contained a whole lot more of Leia training Rey, which I could only imagine the scenes we would be able to get of Carrie Fisher doing proper speeches of Jedi training, other than these like cobbled together things, where it's like you almost want Rey to be like, what?
Yeah.
I asked a question and you totally dismissed me. All right. But so it was supposed to be a bunch of that, and then I believe, don't crucify me on this, but I think Colin Trevorrow's version of his script at one point had Rey and Ben flipping. Rey goes dark and Ben goes back to the light. And then maybe you get a Rey double reversal.
Well, that would also make sense. Or even if Rey flips and Ben goes to the light, the title Rise of Skywalker would still come into play. And play into all that, because the Skywalker, much like Anakin had to, much like Granddaddy, he had his little dark emo phase. You know, I'm dark side. Trust me, I'm evil. Oh no, I will be the one to restore balance to the Force, like a Skywalker should. My bad, I'm a Jedi. My bad, everybody. Yeah, I terrorized the galaxy, but I got it right eventually. So I could have seen them doing that. But I also can see Abrams being like, well, if with the whole like other guy trying to make her a nobody to do something different, I could see Abrams thinking, nah, if he stayed, well, no, he still comes to the light eventually in this movie, so never mind. I was gonna say if he stayed dark and she stayed light and the Skywalker ended up being evil, that would be the different thing.
Yeah. Yep, but that didn't come to pass. We didn't.
Nope.
We didn't get that film.
We did not.
That film did not happen.
No. But yeah, early movie. It is what it is. It's a Star Wars like startup. I thought it was cool where we had the light skipping little montage with Poe and them. Poe, Finn, and Chewie.
So the savior. I feel like the savior of this film, and like, yeah, Kylo is weird. But Adam Driver is a very good actor.
Yes.
Daisy Ridley is a very good actor.
She's
John Boyega.
Rey? Who's Daisy Ridley? Rey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Rey. John Boyega is a very good actor. Oscar Isaac is a very good actor. That is what is saving this film from, I would imagine, almost being unwatchable. Is that they're incredible. And yes, there are some sequences, I highlighted that one as well, that escape scenario and then the light speed jumps is a very cool sequence. And there are several very cool sequences in this film. And then there are several good moments by like John Boyega. There are several really good emotional acting moments from Daisy Ridley. Same with Adam Driver. But yeah, this is another one where it's like the plot is so rough, but the sequence is fun, the idea of it is fun, and Oscar and Finn are doing a really good job trying to sell it.
Yeah, I did like that. So that was a cool little scene. But yeah, we eventually find out we need to go to Exegol to get a holocron so that we can go to the Sith world and beat Palpatine once and for all, because they immediately, apparently everybody just knows this is Palpatine, this is what it is, this is where we need to find them, dooba-dooba-doo. By the way, right. I thought it was funny that on Disney Plus the subtitles for R2, because I watched with the subtitles on just to see stuff. I whatever. I watch with the subtitles on when I watch now. Anyway, it said R2 instead of the R-2. It said ARTOO. And then later, when people were saying 3PO a couple times, it said THREEPIO. When they would say 3PO, I'm like, that's so much extra effort typing the subtitles instead of just typing what they said.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, everybody goes, they go to a desert planet where this dude, they find a festival, and that's cool. And Kylo and his weird ass powers, where he just always talks to people from like across the talks to Rey from across the universe. He's just like, I see you, Rey. I'm watching you again. What are you doing now? I'm coming for you. It's not
directly his power. It's just a thing that's happening between the two of them.
Ah, okay.
They have some weird force bond that happens. Force, reality warping or some shit. Well, because like at this point, so he's the one who shows us the Emperor in the opening scene, because he's already been to Exegol, and at this point, he is on face level trying to continue as ordered by the Emperor, but in actuality his plan is to kill the Emperor and seize total control, and he ideally wants to turn Rey to the dark side and
have her rule alongside him.
Right. That is his plan right now in this moment.
Yeah. And he's out here chain snatching from across the universe.
Yeah, that's gonna become important later. But yeah, it's interesting that they reveal that that's a part of the power. I don't think that was in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
When these whole like force meetups.
Yeah, there's like, we can interact with each other's environment with each other, despite not just straight up teleporting there. It's so weird how they do shit. But okay. Anyway, they're at the festival and they come across somebody because he does the chain snatching, he figures out immediately where they are and he's going after them. And they need to find a place to hide, and they get saved by some dude in a mask. And that led to my next note, which was 5 letters and 3 exclamation points, all in caps. Lando! Billy D. Williams. For me to be sitting here being like, man, all the old crew's dead. If not in real life, then in the story, except Chewie. Seeing Lando was just Lando.
Seeing Lando is great, but like I get that, like I get like Star Wars plot has never been the tightest ship in the world.
Okay.
It's always had some leaks. But like this is just more evidence of like, oh, we have to go here. Oh, look who happens to be a once in every 42 day festival just happens to be occurring right now. Oh, just happens to be right here on this planet. It's Billy D. Williams. Let's go talk to Lando. And then they talk to Lando. Oh, you're looking for the holocron? Bloop, bloop, bloop. You mean this holocron conveniently available by one click of a button on my watch? Oh, well, it's right over there in the desert. We've known, like, nobody's disturbed that ship for 40 years, but you can go. We already looked. Me and your brother Luke, a master Jedi at that point, looked for it, couldn't find anything, but y'all go ahead. Like, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. The very next scene for this group is after they fall through the weird version of
quicksand.
Of quicksand.
I was just like, well, they're dead.
Like
I knew it worked, but it's just like,
right.
Well,
all right, goodbye, you're dead. Yeah, they basically kick the object that they're looking for in the ground, and they're like, huh, what? Oh shit, it's exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
it's so just like
so weird. I feel like this movie
so easy. Like they're just taking the easy way out on like literally every single turn.
Meanwhile, 3PO is 3POing to the max during this whole thing. I say, I don't want to hear it. Well, you know something. I said I don't want to hear it. Poe just does not like C-3PO. Well, obviously they're cool, but he does not like C-3PO. Like, shut the fuck up. And that's perfectly fine, because I know there's a huge section of the fan base that thinks that, because I've heard from them in iterations throughout my whole life. But I feel like they were trying to make this line, never underestimate a droid, a thing. They said it like 3 times early in the movie. Never underestimate a droid. Getting chased through the desert. Never underestimate a droid. Stop. But they find a knife, and the knife is like encrypted in ancient Sith. C-3PO's like, I can translate it, but I can't tell you what it is. What do you mean? I physically cannot tell you what's on the knife. I translated it, but I cannot tell you. And then there comes this whole deal about how do we get this out of C-3PO's head. To me, I was like, he can't tell you, but he can just go there and you follow. He's not telling you shit. He's not translating shit for you. He's just following the instructions at that point, which I feel like would have been
droids
fine.
in the Star Wars universe aren't really operating on like base level programming kind of shit. Like C-3PO would know that he's leading them to the thing, which is possible. I don't know.
You know what I mean? But
yeah,
that's about the only thing I could think of. Oh, but no one even mentioned it.
This plot is garbage. Why am I trying to defend it?
But yeah, no, I would have been fine if someone mentioned my idea and then someone counterpointed in a similar fashion. Obviously not to be like, well, not like the real world, but to be like, oh no, the programming's too strong, that wouldn't work. Or even him like, no, my programming could not do that, type shit. Okay, at least you addressed the idea that this was a thing. It was crazy to me that no one even thought about that. They just like, oh, he can sacrifice himself and kill himself. Meanwhile, they get surrounded by this underground worm where they were scared. Turns out it was injured, and Rey uses Force Jesus on it to heal it. I didn't know that Force Jesus was a thing to this movie, but apparently it is.
Yes, it has appeared canonically in the Star Wars universe prior to this, not in any of the films.
Gotcha.
But in the expansive material, it has Force healing has been
there. So she does the Force healing thing, heals the snake or worm. They get out. Now they gotta go. Oh, they gotta figure out. And I see Chewie grab the knife, and I'm like, that's smart, Chewie. Keep the knife. That's a good weapon there. Turns out it was smart for other reasons later, but I almost immediately got proven wrong about it being smart to keep the knife, because the next time we see Chewie, Rey's getting wrapped up in her Kylo shit, and Chewie goes out to look for him. He's getting arrested, and they're holding the knife. I'm like, oh, maybe that was not a good job to take that knife. But Rey's sitting here playing chicken with a TIE fighter, and not TIE fighter, but whatever the ship is, and she does the real cool backflip pod cutting thing, and I'm like, damn, that's cool. Much like Kylo, though, something about the two, I want to love both of them. They do some cool ass shit, but something doesn't ever click with me with these characters that turn it into full on, I like these characters. And Rey with that too. And one thing that and the thing that followed, when they go, Chewie's being arrested, the ship's going, she tries to grab it, Kylo contests with his force grab, telekinetic grab, they're tagging, and then she, as I just referred to chain light or force lightning, she Palpatines it, so it's even more accurate to say it now. She shocks it, it explodes. When I tell you, I was like, she kills Chewie? I don't care about anything else she does. I hate this bitch. I was so mad.
I stopped the movie.
I was
the very first time I watched this. I stopped the movie.
So
I don't know if I finished it that night.
I was so mad. I'm like, she kills Chewie? Oh, I didn't mean that. Oh, you shut your fucking mouth. You killed Chewie. I don't care. Chewie was all we had left, damn it. And you killed him. But luckily, they tell you within like 3 or 4 minutes. They give you just enough time to rock back and forth in anger before they reveal, no, he didn't die. Yeah, the characters think he did, but he didn't. Calm down, crowd. Please keep watching. He's fine. See, here he is. Here he is. We're good. Woo. But if they didn't do that,
I stopped the movie after that. It's a bullshit move.
It is, but if they're gonna do it,
yeah, this film is filled with bullshit moves, and that was one of them.
Yeah, and then they go on to go to this other planet where they meet Kajimi, and they meet this Zori character who comes out of nowhere, and apparently
Babu Freak.
And Babu Freak.
Babu Freak. Might be the best part of this movie.
He has a thing later.
About Babu
he
Freak.
has a thing later in the movie where they're talking and he just comes out of nowhere. It's Babu Freak! I'm like, this is another thing they were definitely trying to make a thing with this movie. They're like, we're gonna make Babu Freak a thing.
Absolutely. I wonder if that was the Jim Henson company who made him, because he's for sure a real life puppet. And yeah, it's amazing. The Babu Freak, and the voice is hilarious. And yeah, him popping it. It's in the spaceship.
Yeah.
At the end of the film. And yeah, he just pops into the window.
Babu Freak. Yeah.
Yeah. He may be the literally no joke. Maybe the best part of this movie. He may be the high point of this movie. I remember like cackling in my very first viewing of Babu Freak.
So 3PO does the whole sacrifice thing because they decide they're like, hey, we can get him to translate this and hack him, but it will completely wipe his memory.
Yep. And another extremely emotional heartstring moment that will prey on you and then just completely 180 it within a handful of scenes.
Yep. It's fucking, he gets his mind wiped. Hello, I'm C-3PO. But he it's a good thing that they were listening closely, because it looks like you can only play that shit one time before the memory wipes. This is a sword. The dagger is the key. Because they had broken. No, they hadn't broken Chewie out yet. So yeah. They hadn't broken Chewie out, right? Or had they? No,
I don't think so.
Okay, so yeah, they say they do the whole translating. They realize they also need to get the dagger, and so now C-3PO is supposedly memory wiped and doesn't remember a single thing, and he's just confused about everything going on, but he's still going to travel with these people. But like you said, it's an emotional heartstring thing because essentially C-3PO is dying. As annoying as some people may find him, he's been around since the fucking beginning. Like, him and R2.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, him and R2 are the fucking homies. So it's like, what's going on? And then, like you said, they do later eventually just R2 meets up with him.
Wait, what? You don't remember me? Oh,
Yeah.
well, here, let me just...
Yeah. You want to put what in my head? Like, it still wasn't completely up to date, but it was still up to date enough. It's just like, oh, R2. We're about to go on our first mission.
So from here, we're probably going right into probably the big Rey Kylo fight.
Yeah, that's when they go to bust out Chewie, and then they had their weird multi-dimensional fight, Rey versus Ren, round 1 for this movie, where she's in the room trying to take the knife and sees Darth Vader's melted helmet, and he's down looking for her on the planet, and then they start doing their weird thing where they're interacting with each other while not being in the same space, which again, cool concept. I like the idea. And that's the thing with this movie, it's a roller coaster for me. They'll have a cool concept, cool scene, and then something I don't like.
Orlando at you.
Yeah, and then it just goes up and down with some of the stuff throughout this movie. But they have their fight. Turns out, we find out early in the movie there's a spy within the Empire. Turns out it's this Hux guy.
Right.
Which also... every movie, I feel like someone at that round table has to be choked and killed. Like, I would not go to these round table meetings because someone's gonna get choked. But anyway, Hux is like, I hate Kylo. I don't want y'all to win, but I hate that dude. So fuck it. And gets found out immediately right afterwards. Just even when he tried to get them to shoot him. But yeah, they try to
kind of unimportant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that I guess they started that point and immediately wrapped it up. He's a spy. Who's the spy? Him. Now he's dead. He served his purpose.
What happened? The rebels found out that you have a base. They didn't know where it was, but they know that you had a base. And they also learned that Emperor Palpatine is back about an hour before his podcast dropped. and everybody heard that he was back. Also, the opening crawl told us that we all knew that he was back. So
what was the point of the spy?
What was the point of the spy? We don't know. We don't know.
But yeah, eventually they get Chewie, they get the dagger, they get away, and they go to this other planet to find the holocron. And it points, they get to where they needed to do. It turns out it itself points physically to where in this building across a fucking, not ocean, but huge body of water with giant, beautiful looking waves. It's like, and again, gorgeous visuals. But what bothered me is that this thing, it was on Endor, but it pointed to a wreck of the Death Star. And I'm like, why would this ancient Scythian knife with the descriptions for a holocron point to something that happened a couple years ago, a wreckage, in the exact spot?
Well, Mari, because you are looking there, sir, at the Emperor's personal Star Destroyer. The Star Destroyer from Episode 6 that was destroyed while Luke and Darth Vader were on it fighting against the Emperor.
Yes.
So the Emperor would have kept his personal holocron on that Star Destroyer.
But how would this ancient knife, which predates that incident, point to the wreckage, and where within the wreckage the holocron would be?
It's pointing to the holocron. That would be in the wreckage. Because of magic.
I was like, how would you know where the wreckage landed? That's what bothers me. It's like,
because it's
yeah. That's why
it's a thing that always points. That's a constant trope. I don't know why this is the thing that your mind blocks on.
It's not like a knife. If it was like a fucking,
if it was a compass, you'd feel more comfortable.
Or something like the ruins of an old temple or some shit. Not, hey, in 2,000 years, a spaceship is gonna fucking crash on the planet of Endor, and there's gonna be a holocron in it somewhere that happens in the room in the midst of the wreckage is going to do this. So I'm going to inscribe on this knife and color it so that it's perfectly matched up with the angle that this ship that crashed from space and landed in an ocean and then sat there for a good 40 years after it landed, barring who knows what kind of environmental moving around of the wreckage the ocean's gonna do to this wreckage. There's too many variable factors for it to be painted into the knife.
Hey, yeah. I mean, yeah, but you get.
I don't know why my mind went that focused on a space magic series.
Because the Star Wars nerd gets to go, wait a minute, they're on Endor? That's the Emperor's Star Destroyer. That's the one that Luke was on. Like that's why it's the Star Destroyer, the wrecked Star Destroyer, and not like an ancient Sith temple or something. And then the reasoning behind why it's on there is because that's where the Emperor was.
Okay.
And that was going to be his throne for conquering the galaxy.
You want the key, the blade, to be attracted to this holocron and to show it despite it being in the wreckage, rather than it just being, oh, if you pull this out all the way, the paint is gonna line up with a specific angle of where this holocron ended up. Maybe put like something metal, like a compass thing, have it like point, be attracted to the holocron, and it turns out it was on the Emperor Star Destroyer over there, and you needed the knife to point out where in this giant ass thing this was, because it would take years to search it. That would have been the mechanism, I think, is what bothers me about it.
No, yeah, I get that. Somebody along the way was like, but what if it was a knife and we had it had the horizon cut out in it? Like, wouldn't that be cool? And they never stopped them after that. Yeah, and now we've got the real Kylo Ren Rey fight.
Yeah.
In the physical world. What do you think about this fight?
I like the setting. It's like the reverse of the Obi-Wan Anakin, where they were fighting on the river of lava.
I never even thought about that. Yeah,
they're fighting on a fucking literal river of water as it's like going through. So aesthetically, I enjoyed it. That's another one of the things where in my head I was like, "Man, this movie is a very cool visually movie." And that's where the roller coaster thing kept hitting me, because I'm also like, wait, what are we doing here? And then the fight goes, and it gets to the end, and they get to the point where they have to write off Leia, and she just goes, Ben, and he's, oh, and gets stabbed. Kudos to Rey for stabbing him. Good on you. Most heroes wouldn't. But you actually said, fuck it. He dropped his guard. I'ma stab him. Which is what should be happening, because he'd have done the same to you. That said, it was weird for Leia to just go, Ben, and then disappear and die. But I felt real bad for Chewie. Like, Chewie's when he hears about Leia dying, that shit. Ooh. Because again,
yeah, that's rough. It's rough. It's crazy that a guy in a giant latex suit and just literally just growling, it can get you emotional.
yeah, because like I said earlier in the movie, you already get the feeling like, damn, Chewie's the last one, because you know what happened in real life. And so
Right.
when what happened in real life happens in the story, and you see Chewie come to that realization, and then this is also after he thinks 3PO's pretty much kicked the bucket. Yeah, R2's technically, I guess, still around if we're counting 3PO, but damn, that's another one dead, and he couldn't do anything for it.
Yeah.
Hey, never underestimate a droid. Anyway, then we get her healing him. I didn't get it at the time. When she healed him after that fight, I literally typed, "Why heal him?" Redemption was nowhere on my mind as an option for him. I'm just like, this dude is clearly just gonna get up and fucking try and stab you again. I told you the dark side. Shit. And I'm like, oh, why would you heal him? We find out later he does a whole little face turn thing because he talks to Ghost Han. Which, you know, okay, cool to see Harrison.
I think they're trying to say in some subtext that, you know, Leia did something more than just reach out and say his name. Like, she did some sort of Force-y bullshit, is what they are trying to say without saying. Because that's like J.J. Abrams, and it's so funny that this whole like this trilogy of films ended up being bookended by J.J. Abrams, who loves to ask questions that don't have answers, or like, you know, leave you trying to fill in the blanks of things, while meanwhile he's working on the subject matter of Star Wars by George Lucas, who would give you a 9-book series on the backstory of a pilot who has 2 lines in one of the films. If he had the time on his hands, he would deliver that to you. And so, like, everything being so meticulously plotted out, and backstories and world building for everything, it's kind of almost the opposite for a J.J. Abrams project. So you can only infer in that moment, but I believe they have, because it's like one of those things where you got to go into an interview and then be like, well, there, you see, there, what we were intending was that she is like exerting the last of her life essence and Force energy to like force out the good Ben Solo, her son, and fight against the dark side, or some, you know, some shit like that, and then it's capped off by, and it's also, it can't be Ghost Han Solo. It can't be Ghost Han Solo in this film. I refuse to believe that as a Star Wars fan, and this is again why I struggled to watch this film, because I was like, at times I was like, am I starting to go down that road of just being of like, no, there are rules to Star Wars.
There are rules to things, yes.
But Han Solo is not a Jedi, so he cannot be a Force ghost.
Correct.
That is some sort of weird. We're just seeing the inside of Kylo's brain in that moment, is what it has to be. It can really only be that. That can't be Han Solo in that moment, his spirit or essence or anything. That has to entirely be a projection from Kylo Ren. I can't accept anything else.
And I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine if it was more it's not a literal ghost Solo, like the others
at this point.
Yeah, not a literal ghost like the others, because you bring up valid points that I'm not even going to bother trying to argue against, because I agree. But he still has that inner conversation with Harrison Ford on the screen, face to face. And it's like, okay, it looks like Kylo might be doing a face turn.
Which was a surprise.
Yeah.
It was a surprise to everyone viewing it. We didn't know. We don't know. Thought Harrison was done. he the only reason why he signed on is if he was like, "You're gonna kill me. You're gonna kill me in the first film."
Yep.
That's how this is gonna roll. But you're also still gonna pay me for all 3 films. That's also how this is gonna roll.
Yeah.
Kudos to the 3 vets for taking what's theirs.
Yeah.
And then kudos for the Carrie Fisher family for being like, no, we had a deal.
Yeah.
Here's the papers. My mom is top billing. Give me my money. I can't fight nobody for that. But it did make this film difficult.
Yeah. So yeah, we also, meanwhile, what's her name's going crazy because she found out, because he reveals to her that she's a Palpatine. She don't like it. But she ends up seeming like she's flipping out because he also breaks the holocron. Kylo does. He's like, you're either going with me or you ain't going. And so they end up, or she ends up going back to the planet where she was training with Luke, and she starts burning shit. She starts burning the ship she flew out on. She gets ready to burn the lightsaber, and here's Force Ghost Luke. What are you doing with this? I feel like he's always, I don't know, have you ever seen a regular show?
Yeah.
He skips in regular show as Mark Hamill. Uh-huh. And I feel like anytime I see him now, he's got a little bit of that skips, like, rasp to his voice. Even if he's not going for the raspy voice, certain lines, you'll get that Mark Hamill rasp to it. To go with your whole, he started playing a lot of he's a very specific actor as he gets older.
Yeah, it's just, he's not going to be...
Yeah.
Like, anybody who came into The Force Awakens wanting, like, super Jedi Master flippity doo dah murder, just mowing down folks with lightsabers and all that, like, that's not we can't do that with the tools provided, folks. Like, you got to realize, like, we did 5 minutes of it in The Last Jedi, and it still felt a little off at times because he's a man in his 60s who isn't a born fighter.
No, just have him do Keanu from Matrix 4, where I'm just gonna do this the entire movie, rather than do the action scenes.
I can't believe they went forward with that. Like, hey, Keanu's just gonna show up like literally the day before we start shooting, and he's gonna learn what we're shooting 5 minutes before we shoot it. Obviously, we didn't have any time to prep any of the stunt scenes for him, so yeah, his move is just gonna be he's like using his Neo powers at you. Isn't this movie all about like kung fu and how like Keanu also personally like fell in love with kung fu in the making of the first film? And like, aren't a lot of people gonna come to this film expecting the Keanu to do like a bunch of cool kung fu?
Not happening.
Yeah,
just have Luke do that, but do it to like 1,000 people. It's fine.
Like, the new Matrix is this film. This film is the new Matrix. They're one and the same in many ways. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we get the thing, and eventually we're like, okay, we got our final. He talks some sense into Rey, gives her 2 lightsabers for later on.
Of course. Leia had a lightsaber. We also got a flashback. I wouldn't be surprised if we would have had a lot more of that if this would have been Leia's film.
Yeah.
Like people had talked about. Which makes sense. I mean, the first one, Han Solo was the main of the legendaries. Then it was Mark Hamill. then the third, like yeah, seeing a really cool training montages and scenes with Rey, and maybe even a couple of like force manipulation things, because obviously, again, Carrie
Yeah.
Fisher at her age is not going to be doing crazy lightsaber things. So we maybe get some cool force powers and stuff. But yeah, that doesn't happen. But we do get that one flashback. And it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah, it's also kind of weird. Like, yes, I will hide this lightsaber here, and one day somebody will grab it. That day is you. I'm like, okay, kind of just to go with your whole thing. Like, oh, this just happens to be a thing for whatever. Um.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, they
Well, I know,
eventually.
yeah, I know Kylo is actually turning back to Ben Solo, and you guys are gonna meet up. So you're gonna need two lightsabers. So hey, Leia had a lightsaber that I didn't give you in the last film because of reasons.
Literally while you were on this planet, and I figured Leia wanted somebody to use it, and I'm saying she would have been fine if you used it, but I didn't give it to you when I was still alive, and you lived here for like a couple months. Uh,
And you were using my lightsaber that you kept trying to you continue to try and give back to me all the time. Could have just given you a new one. No, we'll give it to you in this film.
yeah, so
But it's a pretty lightsaber. Like I like Leia. I like Leia's lightsaber. It's cool. I was expecting it to be a yellow blade, and then we do get it. We end up getting a yellow blade in the end of the film.
yeah,
But for some reason, I had already kind of predisposed. Like Rey feels like a yellow blade person.
okay, cool.
Star Wars, man. Star Wars.
Hey, when you know enough about it, you can do that. Yellow. Me, I'm blue, red, green, purple. I forget about the yellow ones.
Yellow's out there too.
Yeah.
Yellow's out there too. And then, of course, you got the dark.
The like black.
Yeah, dark saber.
Yeah. So rebels eventually are like, okay, time to lead this finale. Let's get whatever people we can left in the universe to team up with us, because they want us to think they win by making us think we're alone. But there's always more of us. So let's go out there, recruit as many people as we got. Meanwhile, we're gonna follow Rey because she found out how to get to it. Because I think Luke had a holocron or something else had a holo. There was some way there was a holocron still too.
When she left the battle with Kylo Ren, she left in Kylo's ship. Kylo still had his holocron hooked up.
There you go. So, and then Luke finally rose the X-wing from the water.
So she flew away in his original X-wing,
and
fan service there.
Yeah, and broadcasted where she was going, so the rebels would know where to go to, like Excelsior or whatever the name of the planet is.
This ending is so freaking annoying because I hate so much of it, but then if you put some fucking Star Wars music over the top of something and it's like life-threatening or it's emotionally compelling, god damn it, it's going to get me and I'm gonna fucking almost swell up in tears on just like stupid shit that I've been hating this film. And then and then the fucking the trumpets come in and I'm like, oh god damn it. Man.
Well, there's always more of a.
I mean, yeah, that moment. There's a couple that's the moment of the of the positive change for a minute there, and then that, and then there's a couple of moments with Finn and stuff in that ending, and then the be with me moment is it just I don't love it from a storytelling perspective, but it fucking gets me every time. But yeah, other than that, I really dislike some things. I love calling back the we can manipulate physical things in our Force meetups
Yeah,
and using that to pass Ben a lightsaber.
that
Like
was cool.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I'll give it that. But like
So
the
yeah, they were
go
going
ahead.
with this whole dyad and the Force thing between the two of them to explain whatever weird shit they do in this movie that breaks normal Star Wars rules. You guys are a dyad in the Force, and the Emperor starts draining the light. Like he raises his hands, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, because he's like, I'm beating you, and he gets ready to do something, and I'm sitting there waiting for it, and I'm like, and he does it right with him, but he starts sucking the life out of him rather than doing the lightning, and so I was like, Force lightning's like my favorite Force power, by the way, for people at home.
Well then we're fresh off of an insane Force lightning.
We're before that. He's like he drains their lives, and I'm like, oh, he just fucking. That's what. I guess he's drained their lives now. And then he eventually, when he finishes his monologue and takes all that he's taking for, what he's able to take for the plot reasons, and now superpower. Just like, yeah! And that's when I typed Palpatine, all caps, exclamation points, as he shot the giant pillar of fucking lightning. Which,
that's able to like snake around Star Destroyers in like pinpoint accuracy. Bang. Like, nearly all of these ships that just showed up.
My man Palpatine in here just shocking everybody. Like, yes, obviously terrible person, deserves to die. Should have died in Empire Strikes Back. Oh, not Empire, but
Return
of the Jedi. Yes. Return of the Jedi. Episode 6. Should have died there. But he's back, and at least if he's gonna be back.
No, yeah, it is an insane feat of Force light.
As I fell, so falls the last Skywalker.
We haven't seen the likes of this ever. Like, not even a tenth of this have we ever seen done. It is out there.
Palpatine.
But then that leads us directly to the be with me, I am all the Jedi moment, which is I don't love it, but it's emotionally compelling.
And I am all the Sith, and I am all the Jedi.
Yeah, and you have all of the you have Ewan McGregor in there. You have the same thing they did with Force Awakens, like a reconstituted original Obi-Wan. You have
Leia, Luke.
You have Leia and
Qui-Gon.
Luke. You have Qui-Gon. You have what's his face?
Mace Windu. Yeah, Hayden Christensen.
I don't know if Mace is in there.
According to the subtitles, Mace is one of them.
Oh, okay. You have
Yoda.
Ashley Eckstein, who plays Ahsoka Tano in all of the animated shows.
That's one of the voices.
Ahsoka Tano is a big character to a lot of people. It's just a very emotionally compelling moment. But then it's not it's not a well-constructed film.
No.
The Emperor immediately goes from giving the most insane lightning strike ever to then just a completely normal one that Rey is able to control with her lightsaber, which canonically in Star Wars is already a pretty hard move. Like, it's not just like holding out the lightsaber just absorbs the lightning. Like, you have to force push all of the lightning into the saber kind of thing while like controlling it and all of that shit.
But she's got two. And that's what makes her reflect it back on him.
Yep. Which that happens canonically. That's why the Emperor looks all fucked up, is because Mace Windu reflected his lightning back onto him.
Help me, Anakin. I'm a helpless old man who can merely shoot lightning from his fingertips. And am actively shooting lightning from my fingertips.
I could literally just stop shooting the lightning and I would stop burning from lightning. Please stop him.
I remember crying bullshit when I first saw that. I'm like, Anakin, you can't fall for this. He's not helpless at all. Damn it, you fell for it. Anyway, yeah, so she wins. And of course, Kylo didn't die. He climbs up. Because he's not going to die that way. Can't die the same way the Emperor was supposed to. But then he uses, and then he's sitting there holding her, like crying because it appears that she's died. And I just type in my notes, just use Force Jesus. And then he does. And then he dies instead, which surprised me because I didn't expect him to die as well as her. Or, instead of her, rather.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Gets to the fucking thing. It wraps up. Everybody's happy. Everybody goes with their newfound love interest from the movie, and starts living hunky dory.
The little bartender from the first film gives Chewie the medal that they never gave him in Episode 4. Really fixed something for that the fans have been griping about for what is it now, 60 years. Yeah, that final celebration scene in A New Hope, everybody gets a medal except for Chewbacca. So yeah, it was just a very random moment, like
random fan service moment.
It's a great fan service moment, but it just has zero explanation and it's super random and it kind of makes no sense if you think about it too long. Like why in this moment is how did she get this? Has she just had it this whole time? Like they're on like the run right now. This is right fresh off the heels of what happened on Last Jedi. It's just weird stuff. But fun fan service. Yeah. And then speak of weird stuff, Rey goes back to Luke's home for reasons.
Yeah, like why is she on Tatooine?
Well, she's built a new lightsaber.
Yeah.
So she has to bury Luke and Leia's lightsabers at Luke's uncle's house where Luke grew up for reasons. And she achieves that, and then an old woman just happens to be walking right by her in the middle of the fucking desert planet.
In a house that hasn't been occupied for decades.
She would have been seeing this old woman walking up across the horizon for the last 5 hours, and she acts like she's surprised by her.
This Force-sensitive individual, by the way, is
I've never
surprised
seen you here.
This old lady.
Who are you? I'm Rey, ma'am. Rey Who? Rey Skywalker. All right, you crazy bitch. Sorry I asked. Yeah, looks across the desert to the Leia and Luke Force ghosts, has way too long of a pause, and then says Rey Skywalker, and it just lands wrong.
It sure does.
I'm not against the idea of her taking Skywalker as like a moniker, but like it just the line, the moment, the conceit of it all in that moment, it just
there's a couple deliveries which the actress is a great actress. I think Rey's character is a little too I think the actress was held back by what the character how the character would say and do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think I just don't like Rey. I like the actress. I like some of the cool things Rey can do. But Rey, personality wise, is just not there.
Also let's talk about like Skywalker to her is one dude, Luke, who was an asshole to her for an entire movie, for 90% of a movie, was just kind of an old begrudging jerk, and then died, and that's the only connection she has to him. But then she also has Han Solo, she was very emotionally invested in, and then he was killed. You have a very emotional investment in Ben Solo.
God. Oh, it's Ben Solo. I forgot it's not even Ben Skywalker. It's Ben Solo.
Yeah, Ben Solo. So that's two solos. And then you have
Leia Organa.
A very strong relationship to Leia Organa, who never once took up the name Skywalker, even after learning that she was Luke's brother. She is not a Skywalker. You have one Skywalker. It's kind of silly for her to do that with no justification. It's just her looking off into a horizon and being like, yeah, I'll go with Skywalker because I don't want to say Palpatine. Obviously, I'm never going to want to say Palpatine ever in my life.
Yeah, Rey Palpatine. Yeah, especially when like the symbol of evil.
Yeah, that's the main reason. Yeah, Skywalker feels not right in that moment, but I'm okay with it happening if you do it differently. If Luke's Force Ghost has a really strong emotional moment where, like, they're talking about family, and they get to a point where it's like, you found a family, you have a family,
Exactly.
the people you've built a life with these last X amount of years, that's your family, and like hugs her or something, and like and then like, you can be whatever you want to be Ray Johnson, be Ray Skywalker. I'd be happy for you to carry on the name, right? Give some lead into it or something.
Make her more connected with the name as opposed to just
when
the
you
family.
already know that such a large chunk of your fandom already have an issue with this character, and an issue with this character being the replacement to their Luke Skywalker and all of those things. And then they fully expected for you to reveal that she was a Skywalker or maybe a Kenobi. And then you go the opposite route and reveal that she's a Palpatine and pull the rug out from under him. But then you, in the end, just make her decide that she's going to take this dude's name. Like with no, like, you're asking for people to hate you. Like, that's what I said in the opening there. Like, they set out to, like, it seemed like there was a minute where they chose that they were going to pick a side and they were going to go with the people who didn't like Last Jedi. And then there was at some point where they were like, well, no, hold on, we got to do some things. And then they threw some things in there that would like reset the Last Jedi things. And then they would go back on that. And they said, well, no, we got to have this because, those guys would want that. It's insane. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, you make no one happy.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's my final thoughts.
Well, yeah, my thoughts are, I said it earlier, this movie is a roller coaster. It's got, and that's just how I felt the whole day. I would be like, oh man, that was pretty hype, or that was pretty cool, and immediately be cut with something, whether it's something some character said or did, or a choice of plot point. Something would take me off of the hype train that I was desperately trying to get on, because I've said it on other episodes. Even if the movie's supposed to be terrible, when I'm watching them for this show, I'm trying to like them. My idea of critiquing things isn't trying to look for things I hate. It's trying to look for things I like. And if I hate something and can't like it to the extent, then it's worth me mentioning. I think is the best way I can put that. because I'm out here trying to have a good time, and yeah, so. And I think people who get wrapped up into things they hate about stuff neglect the things that are good. For instance, a lot of the fucking visuals and cool scenes, that fucking Palpatine scene alone was worth it for me with this movie. The fucking lightning itself, that shit, beautiful. But never knew anything like that fucking happened in this movie. You know what I mean? And it's because the negative points and it ending on a negative point as well, with, as you just mentioned, with the way they did the Rey Skywalker thing. Hell, even my note was Rey Skywalker, huh? Okay. I don't regret having seen this movie. Clearly, I'm a Star Wars enough fan to where, yes, I did eventually have to finish the story. It was a bitter pill that I heard was coming, but I knew eventually I'd have to take my medicine like everybody else. Yes. Just like I'm eventually going to have to watch that Dark Phoenix movie with the X-Men thing. But I rank it low amongst the films. I don't have an exact ranking system. It's not an episode 1 or 2. It's not like it's not worse than those. The good moments and the acting alone help raise it above those for me, but it's definitely in the bottom half of Star Wars for me.
I have it at the bottom of my chart.
The very bottom?
Very bottom.
Okay. And that's entirely fair.
Yeah. Such is life.
Yeah, I have a bit of nostalgia attached to episode 2 with the Yoda scene, because I thought at the time that that episode 2 is the first Star Wars film I watched all the way through.
Okay.
And it was Yoda. I'm like, hey, the little guy that everyone talks about. Holy shit, he's fighting! That's awesome! That was my that's what let the window open, or put a lock on the door for Larry to open later by showing me the marathon of the Star Wars movies. But end of the day, it's not a good movie anytime I've gone back and watched it. So yeah,
I mean, they all have their moments.
Yeah.
I had 2 fighting with this one as my worst on the list.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot at 3 that I really enjoy, and I love just witnessing the turn from Anakin to Vader, and then the Kenobi fight is.
I wish Anakin would have done more.
Level.
I wish Anakin could have done more than just kill a bunch of kids. Like, I wish he could have
a bunch of people.
I wish he could have like fought some fucking like actual Jedi and beat them and been part of the reason. And I know later on, in between the movies and in the games and in the extended universe, we get to see him going around exterminating the other Jedi. But could we have seen him take care of some of them in this movie? You know, type deal.
I mean, a lot of it happens off screen. Him killing the younglings, and I think it's implied that he's killing a bunch of people at the Jedi temple. Like it's not just younglings. He's killing a bunch of adults too. We're just seeing it off screen. That is it's something I've thought about that I've never something I've never really thought about.
Yeah, I wish we would have seen a bit more of the build up, because we see the evil turn that, you know, leads to him being Darth Vader, but we know the reputation Vader has from between those 2 movies, and he's done. And I would have liked to see a pre-robotic Vader doing the badass shit, as opposed to immediately losing the high ground and deciding to do a flip with a flourish and getting his arm and leg cut off. And looking stupid. But I digress. I'm the leading man. Anyway, that's the rise of Skywalker. So what are we watching?
Sir.
So what are we watching next week? I mean, it is almost nearing Christmas season, right?
Yeah, it is. So if it's Christmas season,
Yeah.
let's stay with another piece of Star Wars canon that you haven't seen.
Canon.
I mean, I think so.
Oh, okay. And what would this piece be?
The Star Wars Holiday Special.
Awesome. I've
gonna be
heard
good.
things, but I
gonna be a
don't remember what I've heard. I've just heard opinions over the years. I know it should be a great experience one way or another. That said, if you want some more great experiences of your own, you can watch some of our other videos here on this channel. We have new episodes every week, every Tuesday. We also have a show every week, every Saturday called You Don't Watch Sports. Two guys talking about 3 sports topics for you, the fan, the casual sports fan that doesn't really watch sports, but you hear the conversations around you, the people talking about sports, so we give you some information to sprinkle into that conversation yourself. Also, I got another show on YouTube called the Whatever We Want podcast. I do it with a good friend of mine and good friend of the show, Super Jazz.
Super Jazz.
Thank you very much, as nature intended. We talk about just that, whatever we want. We do that every week, every Wednesday on that channel. You can also find me on Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in. Stop on by. Bill, you got anything else you want to say to the folks? All right. Well, if you stuck
Star Wars.
Yeah, all right. Well, if you stuck to the end, thank you very much. This was a lengthy one, but clearly we enjoy Star Wars as a series. We had to talk about it. Thank you very much. Adiosness.